Hi, Brian, Nico, Dustin, and Mike. First of all, you're crazy. This is the scariest movie I've seen, and I was in it. So if I weren't in it, I would never even step foot in the theater because I'm afraid of horror movies. But anyway, what can I say about it? So most people don't know this, but it was filmed in Morocco and not in New Mexico, where it's supposed to take place. Isn't that interesting? So I got to go to Africa for the first time and the only time I've been, and I can't wait to go back. It was such a magical place for me. I think about it all the time, really. But just to share a behind the scenes thing. So, the scene of my demise, that terrible scene. I was, with my co-star, Robert Joy, and basically we were both afraid of this scene and just didn't want to do it, and just for various reasons, obviously, clearly, but it was 110 degree heat, and Robert was in this makeup that, with the cleft palate he had, and he's such a lovely man. And we had to do the scene, and he couldn't eat or drink anything. And I felt so bad for him. I was like, I'm sorry, Robert, let's just get through this quickly. I feel so bad for you. And he's like, you feel bad for me. What about you? I mean, look what's going to happen to you in this scene. And yeah, he's right. It's a pretty nasty scene. We got through it, and I actually got through it to the point where I died, and they're like, great, cut. And I said, excuse me, I can't get up. So, I was covered in blood, and maybe not, don't know, but I was covered in blood in the last scene that I was in the movie. And basically they could not get me off the floor. I was stuck to the floor. They had to put some baby oil or something on me because of the 110 degree heat in the Sahara Desert. So yeah, it was, the elements and the scene were intense. So that was the behind the scenes thing on that. So I hope you enjoyed that tidbit, and don't go out there. Or I could really use a margarita. I think that was my line. Okay, bye.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves, so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, jumping to the film review. This week is my pick, 2000s theme. I picked this movie and this theme coincidingly. I've been wanting to do this movie for a long time. Finally said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And a longtime listener, Marnie McLean, she's been listening for a long time. She's been asking for us to review this movie, so why not? I like this movie a lot anyways. 2006's The Hills Have Eyes. Man, upon a rewatch, I forgot how brutal this movie was. When I watched this I've said this kind of similar story when we did like the 2003 and '06 Texas Chainsaw movies. You know, back when I was in high school, had my DVD player in my room, and I had those old school DVDs, you know, where you could have like the reversible ones. You know, you'd have one movie on one side, the other movie on the other one. This one, I have The Hills Have Eyes 1 and 2. There's 2 different discs, but man, these 2 movies got a lot of burn whenever I was in high school. I really like these movies. But yeah, upon a rewatch, man, this one, it's pretty gory. It's pretty graphic. I think it's like the quintessential 2000s movie. Like when you think of that decade, you think of a lot of remakes and you think of a lot of gore. And this is both of them. It's not perfect by any means, but man, I think this is a good movie. And it's scary because there's some realism to it, I think. There's some realism to it. And that's what really affects me the most. Brian, what'd you think?
Man, I actually echo a lot of what you just said. I personally, though, had never seen this until this until this watch. I'd seen the original a long time ago, but honestly, I think I was getting this mixed up with Wrong Turn for a long time. This movie's fucked up, though. God damn, you said it. Brutal as hell. I do love the way it builds tension. I think it's very unnerving, like you said, very violent. I think I'm just using different adjectives to the exact same thing that you just said, but you know, I think that it does a better job than the original at just about everything. Now, that may be a hot take. I don't know. and it's not super often that I'm able to say that about a remake. And I'm a huge Wes Craven fan. So to see how involved he was in this one made me not feel so bad about having that opinion. So yeah, do I love the movie? No, I do not love it. But I think it's very well made. I think the movie accomplishes everything it sets out to do, including surpassing the original for me. And, you know, I'm going to give it a good ranking.
Yeah. So I had seen this movie. This movie came out when I was, my senior year of high school. And I remember watching this movie and thinking, hell yeah, this is awesome. But I told Nico when I did my notes for this, I was like, I know I've seen this movie, but this is like it's fresh. It's like it's brand new to me. I don't remember shit about it. I think it holds up. I think that there's a lot of good gore in it. The blood looks fantastic, which, I don't want to jump the gun, but Greg Nicotero, we saw his work on The Walking Dead. We've seen it in other stuff as well. He's never going to disappoint when it comes to effects. Right. And I think the story is not overly complex. Doesn't have to be. And, I think they easily could have made this a worse movie than it was. And that's a huge compliment to them. Sometimes a simpler approach is best. And so, I think I enjoyed it, but I'm in no hurry to watch it again because, you're right. This movie's brutal as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like The Strangers where, like you said, Nico, like it can really happen. It feels like it could really happen. And so that makes it even more unnerving.
I agree 100%. Any more open thoughts before we jump into the scene by scene? All right, let's do it. Between 1945 and 1962, the United States conducted 331 atmospheric nuclear tests. Today, the government still denies the genetic effects caused by the radioactive fallout. New Mexico desert. We see scientists doing research on the ground and water until suddenly a bloody man falls into his lap and a mutant begins killing them all brutally, one by one with a pickaxe. We see 4 bodies dragged away behind a truck through the desert. We see old commercials as opening credits and title card play. We see several explosions in the desert and mutations on humans due to the radiation effects. Scenic shots of the desert until we see an old gas station and the attendant waking up and heading outside hearing some noises. He yells out Ruby, calling her name with a shotgun in hand. We see an old decrepit fence that says no trespassing while the attendant continues to look around. He yells out for Ruby in an old mine shaft but doesn't enter. He gets back and sees a bag at the front door and yells, "He's out. He isn't doing this anymore." He looks through the bag until a shadow goes through his room. He finds an ear in a to-go box and sees pictures of a couple. Honk outside and he hides the goods. Big Bob asks the attendant to fill her up and check the fluids. Doug is complaining that they didn't fly like normal people. Lynn tries to comfort him as he tinkers with the air conditioner. Attendant asks where they're headed and says the desert isn't the fastest way to San Diego. Bobby and Brenda play with a tied-up pig until Bobby sneaks away to take a leak. We see a girl reach into the truck and steal a red sweatshirt and run away. Doug tries to make a call, but no signal, and asks for a phone, but no luck. Bobby is disgusted by the outhouse and is scared when he sees someone looking into it. Big Bob says he likes to drive at night and doesn't mind the old drives. He's a former detective. Doug offers to pay, but Bob shuts him down. Lynn looks for their dog Beauty, who ran into the store, and she hears some commotion. The attendant scares Lynn as she grabs Beauty, and they head out to the Airstream. The attendant gives Big Bob some new directions through the desert that'll save a couple hours. He wishes them a safe trip as he gives them an evil look and they drive away. Brian, that's the opening set of scenes. What do you think?
Yeah, this cold open and the credits, right off the bat are just very gripping. Like, I know Craven wanted to shoot in the same location as the 77 version, but when they went to scout that out, it had condominiums in that location. Thank God, I'm too old to use condominiums. Come on. Look, I couldn't in good faith let that joke pass me by. Anyway, they settled on Morocco, and my God, it's an amazing set piece just on its own. Like, it sets a certain mood, atmosphere that automatically, without you really even having to try, you get. It's amazing. One more thing on this cold open, though. When Michael Smith's Pluto plunges that pickaxe through the helmet, amazing shot, by the way, from Alexander Aya. But when the researcher falls to the ground, he no longer has a hole in his mask. So just a little goof there. Good introduction, everyone. Good gripping first set of scenes. Was nice to see Vanessa Shaw again. My man Aaron Stanford from X-Men movies and a million other things, but he's definitely Pyro to me from X-Men. All of these people deserve what they get, by the way. They're rude as fuck, this family. I don't really, at this point, like them. I haven't grown to like them. They use the whole place like their own personal fuck around land. I mean, hell, it's probably why the attendant pointed them that way. It was just, they were rude as fuck when they had this gas station, and I don't like this family at first. They definitely grow on me, though.
Yeah, I love that we waste no time getting our first few kills. Pickaxe through the back and then swinging it and smashing the body into the rocks is brutal. As illogical as it may be, I just have a hard time the axe would stay in the back in the torso and he'd be able to swing him like that, but it was still awesome. I love the opening credits with the mutants mixed in. It's a great way to get the credits out of the way in a creative and captivating manner. Really made me uneasy seeing those freaks, to be honest with you. On the other side of the credits, the screeching of the pitcher pump was a great added touch. Just felt so right for this setting, and it was kind of creepy, right, especially since we don't see who was doing it. And oh boy, came out of the house/gas station with his iron drawn. Good touch. And a severed ear in the to-go plate. Either A, he was way too calm about that, or B, if, like we find out, he's complicit, in which case it's only shown to set up when Bob finds it. Either way, man, I didn't really care for that. Like, it didn't really serve a purpose that suited me. Shout out to Ted Levine. Literally, the only thing I remember about this movie is him being in it. And I remember him because I was a huge fan of the show Monk, in which he was Captain Leland Stoudemire. Great show. But this movie came out when that show was on air, and so I'm pretty sure that was a huge part of why I watched this movie to begin with. But just want to give a shout out to him. And, of course, we saw him on this show in that great 10 out of 10 Joyride, Nico.
Great movie.
I'm not really sure how no one saw the girl grab the sweater out of the back seat. Definitely not believable, especially when Doug came out of the camper. Like, right after she snatched it, did she just disappear? I didn't like that, and that comes back into play later. But other than that, decent open.
Man, Doug sucks, though.
Oh, God, he sucks.
He does suck.
Trust me, I shit on him plenty.
Wasn't Ted Levine in Sons of the Lambs, too?
Yeah, he's Buffalo Bill. Buffalo Bill.
All right, okay.
I almost said Bob. Yeah. I was like, I'm thinking too much of Joe Dirt still.
He was also in Shutter Island. It's also in Shutter Island.
He was. All right, the attendant watches him drive away, puffing his cigar as we get shots of the beautiful desert. Bob is singing, Ethel joins in as the kids say they hate their singing. Brenda is not thrilled about taking this detour, and Lynn tries to calm them all down. Doug is straight up not having a good time in the hot Airstream until Bobby gets the AC working. No problem. Doug lights up a cigarette to Bobby's surprise and jokingly offers him one. Suddenly, we see spikes appear in the road, and all the tires blow, and the truck crashes into a big rock. The spikes are pulled from the road, and the family is panicking. Bobby chases after the dogs who ran off as Brenda looks into the distance saying, we're so fucked. No signal for Doug's phone, and he's nagging about Big Bob driving them through the desert. Doug asks if they can fix a truck, and Bob laughs that it's totaled. There's no way to fix it. Bob tells Doug that we walk, and the two start to argue until Lynn pulls Doug away. Brenda tans while California Dreamin' plays, and Bobby is given a gun. Bob jokes with Bobby that Doug is a Democrat. He doesn't believe in guns. Doug gives Brenda a creepy stare as she tans until Lynn sits with her to chat. Lynn goes to get Doug his jacket from the Airstream, but sees a reflection in the distance. She keeps looking until Bobby jump scares her, asking for a Twinkie. Bob tells the family Bobby is in charge and Ethel wants to say a prayer before the men leave to find help. Bob heads back toward the store, and Doug is heading to continue on the road to see where it leads, as we see a binocular shot watching them. Lynn plays with the baby and joins the others at the table. She's so surprised they're celebrating her parents' anniversary in the desert. Bobby asks where his hoodie is as the dogs continue to bark. Brenda lets the dogs out by accident, and Bobby chases after Beauty. Bobby hears a dog yelping and grabs a rock for protection. We see someone above in his sweatshirt watching him walk around until he finds his dog gutted. He runs away after seeing this, but falls off a cliff and passes out. The little girl in red appears, touching his body, and we see Goggles above eating on a body limb as blood drips on Bobby's face. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, what do you think?
First of all, I really don't think they were driving fast enough to have lost control like this, but hey, it's a movie. I get it. But I also noticed around the 20-minute mark, right when they hit the rock, it changes position from being right up against the rock to more like to the right. And I feel like that was another little goof there. Little fun fact, though, this crash scene apparently took 3 days to film and get it right. And I did like the way it was shot. I liked the final thing there. I feel like between Alexander and the cinematographer Maxim Alexander, who both did Crawl together after this in 2019, and Maxim actually did The Nun and Shazam as well. I feel like that they work fantastic together, and the shots I think in this movie are beautiful.
Shazam is awesome.
Shazam is awesome. And honestly, I don't know. Every time we talk about or I see The Nun, I feel like we've done it. I feel like I'm like, okay, we've done it on this show, and we haven't, have we? Like how have we not done? Why do I think that we have fucking done The Nun and we haven't? Anyway, not a ton going on in this set of scenes. Very good character development, though. I feel like all of these actors, I feel like they really did well together, like in selling that they were a normal, dysfunctional family. Again, though, I just keep harping on it. The camera work and going back and forth from the handheld to the stationary cameras, I think it looks really good. This is a very well shot movie. And like you both said, Doug fucking sucks, man. But I think Dan Bird, though, I will give him props as Bobby. He's stolen the show. To this point, for me, I loved him. Him and Ted Levine, of course.
It's funny that you said that about The Nun, because I think that often. I think it's because we've done all 3 Conjuring movies. We've done multiple Annabelle movies. So that's the only one out of the franchise that we haven't done, that or The Nun 2. But anyway,
31 rankings, I guess. Maybe that's where I
get it. We talked about it when we ranked it in the 31 on 31, but we haven't done a single breakdown of it. Anyway, Watch Your Fucking Mouth is hilarious. That's 100% something I would say as a parent. Watch your fucking mouth. And then At Least We Can Breathe Now as you light a cig. That's also hilarious. But Doug is a fucking douche, though. Also, he's remedial. Bob says it's totaled, and he responds with, "Can we fix it?" Moron. It's totaled. Anyway, there's a lot of subtle humor in this movie. When Bobby said shooting the gun made you feel powerful, it was so funny to me that his voice cracked when he said the word powerful. Because his voice doesn't crack any other time in the movie, but it did there, and that was funny to me. I love Brenda being so embarrassed to pray and saying, "Thank God no one's watching us," when in fact they are being watched. I thought that was a great touch as well. Real dickhead move by Brenda to let the dog out. But then again, I was tired of listening to it bark. She probably did it on purpose, and I don't blame her. There's only a handful of things in this world that get under my skin, like a dog repeatedly barking for no reason. I hate it. Anyway, I love dogs, but anyway. I love the quick shot of the mutant running behind Bobby while he's wearing Bobby's hoodie and running behind him. That's a great way to build tension. We don't get a good look at her, and it was subtle. It was fast. It was good. Then we get our first look at these freaks when Bobby falls in the hole. Great look on them. Like I said, Greg Nicotero does not miss. Yeah. This is a slower set of scenes action-wise because we got off such a hot start with the murders in the first set of scenes, but they set us up nicely.
Yeah, I agree. Doug is walking through the desert singing California Dreamin', great song, by the way, until he arrives at a big crater in the ground. He looks at the old, abandoned cars as the camera pans into the mines as a man groans. Nighttime now as Big Bob makes it to the gas station, calling out for the attendant. Bob helps himself to a water and says they were in a wreck. He tries the phone, but to no success. He begins to look through the bag, finding the ear, and gets his pistol out. Bob sees articles on the wall of the military attacks, the mutated people, and articles on families going missing in the desert. Bob goes to take the car until he hears the attendant's cries from the outhouse. He opens the door as the man continues to cry and drink. He says he did the best he could and blows his head off with a shotgun, and the effects look great on that. Bob hears a voice say, "Daddy," over and over and fires some shots. Bob gets back in the car, but there's someone in the back seat who smashes his head into the windows repeatedly. Big Bob is taken into the mines on a cart as the mutants demand the gun from one another. Ethel yells out for Brenda, who is calling out for Bobby, who's still passed out. Ruby runs off hearing Brenda's voice. Bobby is back in the Airstream getting first aid. Lynn says they only heard some sort of breathing on the radio. The dog barks and Bobby runs outside, telling the ladies to stay inside. Doug scares Bobby and almost gets shot. Lynn hugs him as Doug shows off all the stuff he brought back. Doug goes inside to eat, telling them the road is just a dead end. Beast finds Beauty's corpse as Bobby tries to convince everyone to sleep in the trailer. Doug comforts Bobby and says if he's not back by midnight, we'll go look for him. Brenda puts some tunes on, turning the light off for them to sleep. However, Bobby keeps turning the flashlight on and off in his mom's face, checking his watch until he hears Beast barking outside. The light turns back on over Brenda, and it's Pluto who caresses her face. He removes the blanket and quivers, seeing her body. Bobby runs away, hearing a man's voice, and Brenda has her mouth covered as she sees Pluto. Bobby wakes up Lynn and Doug saying there's people in the hills. He found Beauty dead. There's something going on. Dad's not even back yet. Doug exits the car as Bobby says we're not alone, and Pluto yells now over the radio. All right, Bryce, Nick said his scenes. What do you think?
I don't know why, but every time in any of these movies, like they find basically a junkyard of old cars from victims, like it always makes me uneasy. It always bothers me. And it does the same thing in Texas Chainsaw. I don't know, unnerves me more than anything, I guess. Just wanted to point that out. Gruesome shotgun blow to the head for Tom Bowers, gas station attendant. And holy shit at the effects on that. Dustin, you mentioned, of course, the great KNB effects group with Greg Nicotero, but goddamn. And rest in peace, Tom Bauer in real life, who passed away earlier this year. Great guy, legendary actor. But yeah, man, of all the people who had the best chance, I feel like my man Big Bob, I think, was it. Like, he was packing a hell of a weapon. That sounded dirtier than I meant it. But he could have easily taken that shotgun as well from the gas station dude. But man, my guy ended up falling victim to not ever have watched Urban Legend, didn't check the back seat. Just shaking my head, man. That's crazy. Honestly, why would they not sleep under the same roof? Why was Pyro, I mean, he was a douchebag in X-Men, so let's just continue on here. But like, why would he just say, no, that's weird? Like, with everything going on and Dad not being back yet, why would you not sleep under the same roof? That's stupid. Anyway, we're about halfway through this movie here, and shit is really starting to pop off.
First of all, Pluto's in the set of scenes, so I just want to take this second to say it's a huge miss not to have Michael Berryman play Pluto in this like he did in the original, because he was in the Devil's Rejects. So, of course, I want to get him more work. Doug finding all these dilapidated cars, that should have been an instant red flag. He should have headed back to the camper immediately, but he scoped the place out. I would have put two and two together and known something foul was afoot. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that we magically have 4 flat tires and wrecked when there's nothing in the road. And there's all these other cars. Weird choice in editing here when we go first person mode with the camera and went down the tracks on the mine shaft. Like, I feel like we could have just cut to nightfall. It felt really out of place, and it's not something that happens again. So I didn't like that.
I like that, actually.
Well, see, if it was done more often, I would have been fine with it, but there's no other first person in the entire movie. So it was kind of strange. Strange editing again when Big Bob is looking at the newspaper clips on the wall, the sudden cuts and the sound effects. Like, it was just unnecessary and distracting. Didn't need that. Incredible effects on the shotgun blast, like you said. Holy shit. But then, how the hell did Big Bob hear the mutant saying daddy when he was in the car? Make that make sense. Like, he wasn't yelling daddy. So I didn't buy that. Also, not buying the fact that Big Bob, a former cop, is just going to fire rounds blindly. Like, he couldn't see what he was shooting at. He was just wasting ammo. I don't think that's believable at all. And then Linda's got to be the deepest sleeper ever. Right. How did it take her so long to wake up? And then, my God, very uncomfortable watch with what happens to her. But
Oof.
yeah, like you said, Brian, business is picking up.
Or we cut to a tree that's on fire and see Bob tied to it. Pluto still has hold of Brenda, and Lizard enters the Airstream trying on clothes, eating food. Doug starts to put the fire out as Lizard grabs hold of the bird, biting its head off and drinking its blood. The family is panicking and in distress, seeing Bob burned alive. Lizard snatched Pluto off Brenda, putting the gun to his head. Pluto begins destroying the Airstream, and Lizard unbuttons his pants to take advantage of Brenda. Lynn runs back to the Airstream, hearing the baby cry, and sees the mutant men. Lynn hits him in the head with a pan, and Lizard grabs her arm and points the gun at her baby's head. The mutants torment the sisters sexually as Doug gets Bob off the tree. Ethel enters the Airstream and is shot in the core by Lizard. The men hear the shot and run to the Airstream. Lynn stabs Lizard in the leg with a screwdriver until she's shot in the head. Lizard goes to shoot Brenda, but he's out of bullets. Pluto runs off with the baby, and Lizard snatches the American flag, running off. Doug is devastated seeing Lynn on the floor. She sits up, gasping for air, and dies in Doug's arms. He's crushed as he realizes the baby is gone as well. Goggles is watching them until suddenly Beauty appears, biting his neck, killing him. Bobby asks Doug what they're going to do if they come back as Ethel is fading, asking if Big Bob is almost back. She asks for a blanket. She's cold, as Bobby covers Lynn's corpse. Doug grabs Bobby, trying to calm him down, and the two argue. They hear a walkie-talkie, someone calling for Goggles. Bobby lets out some precautionary shots through the door. The other voice says they got to kill them all. Beast emerges, and they hear Jupiter is gone to finish them off. Doug demands they bring back his little girl, and he hears her crying over the radio. Doug drops the walkie and asks how many bullets they have left. All right, Brian, next set of scenes, what do you think?
Bro, what the fuck? Like, this set of scenes is a goddamn nightmare, dude. Like, that scene with the birds was absolute fucking disgusting. Like, and just for the sake of being fucking disgusting, too. And you're right. This is early 2000s, like, to a T. And I read it was supposed to be worse, actually, because Alexander Aya had the idea of replacing the birds with kittens and having the mutants put the kittens in a blender with milk and turn it on for the mutants to drink.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
well, he pitched that idea, and Wes Craven was like, "Oh, no, sir, no, sir," because he was actually scared people would copycat the scene, and he's probably right. Bunch of fucking morons out there.
To piggyback off that, how funny is it though that even got out there? Because what stopped someone from saying, "Oh, let me do that"? They thought about it. They thought of this idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
If you don't want someone to copycat it, like, don't even put it out there.
Right. And Jesus, man, that fucking scene with the baby was very tense. Like, after just watching what they did with the bird, like, apparently the scene was hard to shoot because the baby kept playing with the gun. And you can't even stop to be like, oh, that's cute. Like, when you know that, because holy fuck, the shit that you're watching here. I mean, just one of the most disturbing, like, scenes that I've seen in a long time. Letting Doug listen to the baby crying over the walkie. It's what, god damn, man. I will say, all I've done, I think, this entire scene is talk about how fucking disturbing the scene is and not really give any review talk. But I will say props to Kathleen Quinlan as Ethel during her death scene. Fantastic performance by her. Very believable. But go ahead, Dustin. I'm speechless.
Well, like I said at the end of the last set of scenes, Jesus, business picked up in a hurry. My man Bob deserved better. And then, motherfucker biting the bird's head off and drinking the blood. That was disgusting. Like, oh my God. It was bad enough to see him put the bird's head in his mouth, but all I kept thinking is, Petey didn't have a head. But that's from Dumb and Dumber, Nico.
Our pets' heads are falling off.
Lynn, bold as hell. Like, I get wanting to save your baby, but whacking the motherfucker in the face with a cast iron skillet while he's holding your baby, that's risky. Could have dropped the baby and killed it. Could have fell on it. That was a wild move. And these mutants are vile as fuck. Holding a baby at gunpoint while you drink its mother's milk is top 5 most evil things I've ever seen someone do. Also, when I typed that out and typed the words mother's milk back to back, I thought of The Boys. Shout out The Boys. Yep. Great show. Not sure how Ethel thought her plan would play out, but I doubt getting shot in the chest was on her bingo card. Her ass went flying too. Hell yeah. That gun packed a punch. And Lynn, you got to be smarter than that. Stabbing him, good idea. Not moving afterwards, stupid. Like, you can't just expect to stab him in the thigh and grind it around a little bit. That's going to stop him. Like, yeah, it hurt like a bitch, but how do you think it's going to play out? Part of me thinks that it should have been Doug who died there because he sucked. But then again, him having to live with her death like that is worse than dying, and I want worse than death for him. He fucking sucks.
God damn.
Okay. I'm glad Beast got it back in blood, though, but that's a little unlikely to me. That dog was a pet, and the freak he bit was just standing there. Like, if that dog was aggressive, was just going to bite someone who's just standing, it definitely shouldn't have been around a baby. I do commend Bobby for taking action and having a spine, but firing blindly through the door, that was stupid. You got to conserve ammo. You don't know how many of these freaks there are. That was a total waste. And, yeah, that's all I got. We're at a frenzied pace so far.
All right, the next morning, Doug and Beast are following the blood trail and they enter the mines. Doug finds the old abandoned town and he radios to Bobby what he found. Brenda sets a tire on fire to send off a smoke signal while Bobby rigs up a trap with fishing line. Bobby snaps on Brenda about no one hearing the calls or seeing the smoke and smashes his finger with a hammer. He sees how broken Brenda is and he hugs her as she cries out how scared she is. Doug and Beast walk amongst the town until he looks inside a window seeing his baby. They're almost caught by Sist, who hears Beast whimper, but they hide in an old car in time. Doug has Beast stay in the car and he goes into the house after Catherine. Doug sneaks past Big Mama and gets Catherine. He thinks he's home free until Big Mama Randy Orton's him out of nowhere, bludgeoning him. Bobby and Brenda weep as they get Ethel and Lynn's bodies into the truck. Doug wakes up in an old chest full of dead, bloody body parts, screaming until he pushes the cover off, retching upon exit. Beast exits the car as Doug walks through the house again. He sees Big Bob's corpse at the table with the American flag lodged in his head. He hears a voice singing the national anthem and finds Big Brain, who lectures him on the nuclear test. You made us what we've become. Boom, boom, boom. He laughs, saying breakfast time, and Pluto appears like the Kool-Aid man through the window, axe swinging. Pluto and Doug squabble, and Beast appears biting Pluto's arm. He tosses the dog off of him and breaks through another wall, grabbing Doug by the throat. He tosses him to the ground and chases him again. Pluto breaks the bat in half, and Doug lodges it into his core. He pulls the bat out and hits Doug in the face, who is delirious now. He tackles him through the wall and tosses him through another wall, and then cuts his fingers off with an axe. Fuck, that looked like it hurt. Doug hides under the table and holds a screwdriver at him. He rubs the axe against his head and Doug weeps. Please don't kill me. He stabs the screwdriver through his foot while Pluto is distracted and stabs the flag through his neck. He kills him with an axe chop to the head. He puts on his broken glasses and he kills Sis with an ambush axe chop to the knee, back, and then a kill shot with a sharp point through the eyeball. All right, Brian, that's the next set of scenes. What do you think? A lot happens.
Yeah, no shit.
Real quick, Nico, you said it looked like it hurt when his finger gets cut off. It did look like it hurt, but don't worry, it grows back. I don't know if you guys caught that. I don't know if you had that, Brian, but shots later, he has all his fingers again, so don't worry.
There we go. I got another mess up here too that I feel like. Now, anyway, first off though, this is how you shoot night shots, Eli Roth. Like, and I say that because of us just doing Cabin Fever, so I'm going to get on him. But this is a single light source. The rest of the frame was dark. It was very impressive. I liked it a lot. And speaking of impressive, again, Dan Bird and his freaking out on Brenda saying, nobody's going to see the fire. That whole rant he had, very, very good. I've been singing his praises the whole movie, and he's still impressing me. And this set of the nuclear test neighborhood, creepy as hell. Like, always is, no matter what movie you're watching. It's the perfect setting for, any sort of horror showdown. Sis with the headgear. None other than Greg Nicotero here, but this is my problem. He's dragging who, actually? Because it was a female, but it wasn't Lynn or the mom, because both died right after they'd left. Both are shown being put in the car after this shot. So who was it? At first I thought maybe it was cut different and like that was the mom, but like later, but no, that's right. Cause
might have been that lady from that couple from the beginning in the picture in the bag or whatever.
Yeah.
They had other people.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I think it was probably whoever's ear it was in the styrofoam plate, but, I don't know if you have this, but they did have to cut like 2 minutes worth of this movie just to get the R rating. So that may have been why that played out the way it did. We didn't get to see it because they had to cut it. I don't know.
Sidebar, but I almost rented the unrated version because I if there's an unrated version, like I want to watch it. And I was like, and we never really talked about whether we were reviewing the unrated or the rated version. But then I saw where you could only like buy the unrated version, and I was like, yeah, no, we definitely probably doing the rated version. Anyway, that was a sidebar. And look, listen, everyone handles situations differently, but I'm sorry. I'm not creeping up on anyone. Like, yeah, maybe I'm dead in 2 seconds, but if I am a father and I looked through the window and saw my child, I'm going to be fucking up anybody and everybody I can. Like, I get building tension
Yeah.
for a movie. I get that. But, and maybe that, you know what, there's not a maybe. That is how some people would approach it, for sure. I'm just saying my approach would have been scorched earth, for better or for worse. Doug was just frustrating as hell, though. I mean, this entire set of scenes. Great rebound, though, from him, and great kills on, and I don't know their names, forgive me, Jason Voorhees unmasked and Sis pickaxe through the eye. Those were fantastic kills. I just don't know their names.
There's actually a wiki page for the Hills Have Eyes meetings that I looked up. I had no clue either. I couldn't keep up with them. There's too many of them.
Yeah. Before I start on this set of scenes, Brian, you talked about credit to the lighting for the night scene. I agree, although I did have an issue a little bit earlier. I think it was earlier when the dog is just wandering through the hills there. It was too bright to me.
Okay.
Like he was so far away from the trailer. I don't think it should have been that well lit, but I get it. We had to be able to see what was going on. So it didn't bother me, but
I didn't really notice that. But hey, one more thing while you're talking about naming characters, every time you say Big Brain, I think of Krang from the Ninja Turtles cartoons.
hell yeah. Pretty slow start to this set of scenes. I mean, yeah, Doug is on the move and we get a few looks at the freaks, but the pacing is very deliberate. And I get it. Just like wrestling, same way you book a card. Heat them up, then you cool them down, then you heat them back up. So I'm not mad at it. These damn dogs have been running off all movie. And all of a sudden, one decides to stay in the car with the window down. Huh? Huh?
And quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, the dog's been barking all movie too. Yeah, fuck that. Now, I get that Doug is anti-gun, but he probably should have eased up on that stance when he went to get his daughter. Like, the whole scene could have been so much shorter. We could have shaved 20 minutes off this movie or more if he just had a gun with him. Go in the house, pop one in Fathead's skull, shoot anyone else that enters, leave with your baby. Easy, idiot. Action really picked up when Pluto smashed through the window like the motherfucking Kool-Aid man. Glad you said that, Nico, because I definitely had it in my notes. Bear is saying once again, Doug is an idiot. His plan is just to barricade himself in the bathroom. Take action, pussy. They have your baby. I mean, it didn't work anyway. Kool-Aid Man is back through the wall this time, and it gets knocked out with a bat handle that he just stabbed in the freak's gut. God, this guy sucks so fucking bad. He does get a pretty badass kill here, and then outside again with the axe, but not enough to redeem him. I hate him, but I'm excited for the finish of the movie.
Doug kind of redeems himself for me, but man, he's just so frustrating throughout. It's hard to redeem himself all the way, but I feel you. All right, guys, here's the ending. Big Brain radios to kill the baby, then Beast appears, killing him off screen. Ruby comforts Catherine as Doug looks house to house for her. Lizard gets a meat cleaver chanting, "Baby, baby." He gets to Ruby pushing her, telling her to get. Doug is greeted by two mutant kids asking for him to play with them. Lizard goes to kill Catherine, but Ruby swapped the baby out with a pig. Doug sees Ruby and hears Catherine crying in the mountains. Suddenly, the trap fishing rod Brenda and Bobby set up bends over. The two look for what's setting off the fishing rod, but it's a tumbleweed hung up on the line. The two panic when they see their mom's body has been taken. Bobby orders Brenda to get the trailer ready. He goes into the mountains and finds Papa Jupiter eating on his mother's corpse. Fuck, that's brutal. Bobby is spotted and Jupiter chases after him. He fires off some shots and runs back to the trailer. He falls over and shoots him in the hand. Bobby makes it into the trailer and they set up the trap matches. Bobby ties up his hands, trapping him to the trailer, and they sneak out the window. Jupiter gets free, opens the door, which lights the matches, blowing the airstream up. Doug unites with Ruby, but is ambushed by Lizard. The two fight, and Doug gets his head slammed into the ground a few times until Lizard quits and chases after Ruby and the baby. He grabs her leg until Doug appears, bludgeoning him with the shotgun in a bit of rage. He shoots him in the core, the throat, and in the shoulder. Ruby hands Doug Catherine, and he embraces her. Lizard is, staying alive. And Ruby notices he's about to shoot them with a shotgun, and she sacrifices herself, tackling him off the cliff. Bobby and Brenda look at the wreckage and see Papa Jupiter is still alive and barely breathing. Brenda snaps and puts a miner's pick through his skull. Bobby and Brenda reunite with Doug, Catherine, and Beast. They all hug until we see another binocular shot watching them as the film ends. Brian, what do you think about that ending?
Mixed bag. And by the way, every time you say Beast pops up, it makes me think of X-Men. So I'm really starting to think that it's me, it's not you. But anyway, Dustin, you talking about Doug should have taken the gun. Thank you. Because, man, I wrote, Bobby, what are you doing, bro? Like, Bobby wasted so many goddamn bullets. I'm so disappointed in him right now. I've loved him the entire movie, and he's just willy-nilly shooting. God damn it. Just think of what Doug could have done with that gun. But Doug, man, they wrote this guy to be fucking Superman. I mean, come on. Like, if you want this dude to survive in a story, and you're like, all right, this guy's going to survive, there's no way that you should have had him take a beating like that. Like, huge nitpick from me. I mean, he got beat to the point multiple times that he should not be up moving around, much less able to just get up and keep fighting. That is just huge nitpick for me. All in all, I guess, I mean, I would say happy ending, but I guess it really isn't. And because like I wrote in real time, like, I don't know how they're getting anywhere, but I guess that's the point. And then, they pulled the old, or is it a happy ending at the very end, when they pulled back shot. I mean, it was all right. It was a decent ending. Wasn't bad. Didn't spoil anything for me or ruin anything for me.
So I'm disappointed that this creepy fucker in the chair, who, by the way, looked like Stephen Hawking and Roger from American Dad had a baby. I'm disappointed that he got killed off screen. Like, we deserve to see him die. And then Doug yelling Catherine was funny as fuck to me. What did he expect? She was going to call back to him? I'm right here, Daddy. Come save me. Like, she can't talk, dumbass.
Yes.
And then, I tell you, these deformed fuckers are part ninja, I swear. First, Bobby's hoodie gets snatched without anyone seeing, and then they steal Ethel? How? And I've been harsh on Doug, but I'm going to cut Bobby some slack here. I wanted to get irritated that he's running and shooting his gun blindly, but he's a kid. I'll be easy on him. He was scared. I get it. And he made up for it by tying the bastard to the window frame with a bungee cord. Mix that with the way that they rigged it to explode. That was a badass move. I like that.
It was.
I'm glad dipshit Doug finally decided to use a gun, but even that annoyed me. Shoot him in the face, moron. It took Ruby sacrificing herself to save him and the baby. Tell me he deserves to live. All in all, though, it was a decent ending. I like the binocular shot at the end. Sets us up for a possible sequel that we ended up getting, which I haven't seen, but I may change that soon because I like this one enough.
It's brutal.
Not good.
It's probably worse than this one, like gore wise. It's fucking bad. Derek Mears is in it.
Yeah, Derek Mears is in it.
Boom.
But yeah, that movie is brutal. It's on my list to pick. So, I mean, I'm going to pick it eventually. I think it's pretty good. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still pretty good. Let's jump to our social media comments and questions. I'll knock out Instagram. I don't have much. Missy Hutchinson Wall commented, it's the OG version for me. Not sure what you mean by that, but fair enough.
I think she likes the OG better, but I haven't seen it yet.
I have, and I don't agree with that.
I haven't seen the OG. And Dana Tucker 48 commented, great choice. The original was a doozy as well with the ghost emoji. Brian, you got the Book of Faces pulled up?
Yeah, there's only one comment. Kevin Potoff. Holy shit. This is a pretty hardcore movie for Main Street audiences. Nice choice, Nico. Hey, Kevin Potoff.
Hell yeah, brother.
Love. That's all.
All right, we got a couple on X. Mookie just commented a GIF of some people in what looks like to be a camper with like a woohoo celebration. Randy Smith, Go Dog, said, had to rewatch and remembered how much I enjoyed this movie from when I saw it in theaters. It's one of the few remakes I find better than the original. And then that guy, Millhouse 14108, said, pretty gruesome remake of a Craven classic. Does a good job of making you uncomfortable in one particular scene. Motiveless killers, a plus. I know Brian enjoyed the Kubrick-esque landscape shots. I love that you catch so much shit for that.
Same. I don't think they're motiveless, though. Not to be that guy, but they're not motiveless. They're pretty upset about them, the radioactive bombs and all that.
Yeah. They took our homes. Imagine if the natives rised up like that and got pissed off because we forced them out.
But see, I don't think you needed that motive. I don't think that needed to be in there. I mean, you just have these are mutants. Yeah. You don't expect them to have brains and a reason for doing something. I was surprised to hear them talk and have a conversation. To be honest with you,
but that's how they got to become mutants, though, from the bombs. I mean,
yeah, that makes sense.
And then to finish up his comment, he said, "Finally, Michael Berryman is the better Pluto." I haven't seen the original, to be honest with you, but I agree just because it's Michael Berryman. He said 6 out of 10 for me. Love the show, fellas. Appreciate that.
I regret not meeting Michael Berryman at Pensacon that one time, Brian. I should have done it. Y'all got any fun facts you want to share?
Temperatures soared in excess of 120 degrees Fahrenheit on the Moroccan desert set, which is where they ended up shooting. And then the last one I have is that Ted Levine was also in the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Nowhere to Run with Rosanna Arquette, sister of David.
And Dustin, you got to do this every week from now on. Every week you got to have a David Arquette connection. Good luck if we ever do another Korean movie, but
yeah,
that's your new job.
I did it for a decent stretch, and I let it die down. And then, got to play the hits. I'll start doing it more often.
No, yeah, don't do it every week. You got to surprise us with it because it's always funny when you just bring it out of nowhere. Almost all of Ted Levine's actions and lines were improvised. Man, shout out to Ted Levine. He's a bad motherfucker. The photos of mutations that play during the opening credits are not of atomic mutation, but birth defects caused by the use of Agent Orange in Vietnam. Sorry if that was already said. And Ivana Turchetto, who played Big Mama, agreed to have her head shaved for $1,000.
Nice. Candyman, like what taken was it $1,000 every time he got bit by a bee? Yeah,
he made like 23 grand too, 26. He made a lot of money for that shit. Shout out to him. Get your money, big dog.
I was gonna say I'd shave my head for a role, but it'd take more than $1,000. I haven't had a haircut in like 2 years. I'll do the budget since Mike's not here to do it. Budget was $15 million estimated. Opening weekend, got that back. Did $15.7 million. And went on to gross $70 million worldwide.
I'm kind of surprised. That must have just gone to effects budget. I mean, I had to because that's like a pretty big budget for, I guess it's 2000s. I mean, budgets are inflated, but it just seems like for a single setting. But I get it. Nicotera's probably $13 million by himself.
So, yeah, true. And then I was going to say, shooting on location in Morocco, there was some skepticism. Like they weren't even sold on that location because 2006, we're not that far removed from 9/11. There was a lot of concerns that there was going to be terrorist attacks, and so I'd say everyone's asking price went up if they had to go to Morocco just because they were so scared.
That makes sense.
That's a complete guess. I don't know that to be fact.
That makes sense.
I mean, it does make sense. All right, guys, how much our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating? Who wants to kick us off?
Favorite kill for me was the guy in the open who got ragdolled while a pickaxe was in his torso. Like, it wouldn't happen, but it was awesome. Least favorite kill was Big Brain. I wanted to see the dog rip that disgusting fucker in half, but it was off screen. And then for my final thoughts, I put Hills Have Eyes, the Hills Have Eyes. Who are you to judge? Who are you to judge? Hide your lies, girl. Hide your lies. Only you to trust. Only you. That's The Weeknd. The Hills. That's what I think of every time I think of this. Anyway.
Great song.
It is a great song. Great gore. The mutants look great. Well, their effects did. They were ugly as fuck. They were hideous. But this movie holds up pretty well. It's a pretty easy, albeit uncomfortable watch. On Letterboxd, I said, I don't know if I've ever been more disappointed that someone survived in a horror movie because of how much they sucked as a character. But this movie has brutal kills, top-notch effects on the gore, and it's a pretty bloody good horror flick. I gave it a 7.25.
I was wondering what happened to Pyro after X-Men 3. This makes sense. All right, so my least favorite kill, I agree. Krang, Big Brain from Starship Troopers in the wheelchair. Wasn't a fan of that. And favorite kill, of all the kills, like they had some gruesome, fantastic kills. I almost went with the shotgun one, but I wanted to go with Bobby rigging up that camper just because of how cool it was. It was just a cool kill. Exactly. Violence. It's raw and just brutal as hell in this movie. It was hard to watch in some places, especially that raid on the camper scene. Everything, though, is very well done, though, from a technical standpoint, in my opinion. I gave it an 8.25, actually. A welcomed remake.
All right, I'll go next. Favorite kill. I'm going to go assist. I just think I like the pickaxe through the eye. I like the whole setup. But there were a lot of brutal kills, so there's a lot to choose from. Least favorite kill, I'm right there with you guys. Big Brain. Dude, you know how cool that would have been to see the dog bite like the back of his head and all of his brains fall out? I mean, that would have been awesome. I would have liked to have seen that shit.
It would have been so juicy.
Off screen? Come on. You know, like those pimple popping videos? I love watching that shit.
You sick fuck.
It would have been
you
like
sick
that.
Fuck.
I am a sick fuck. I like this movie. I think it's really good. Like I've said throughout this review at the start, this is like the quintessential 2000s movie. It's a remake and it's super gory. Like that's what the 2000s were known for the most part. Shout out to friend of the show. I'm calling her friend of the show, by God. I met her. We're still hoping to get her on the show eventually. Vanessa Shaw. She's super nice. It was a pleasure meeting her. Some qualms I have about the movie. I know the MacGyver in the thing was cool, but bro, it's like that was like somewhere to hide, somewhere to get out of this desert sun for a minute. Why the fuck you gonna blow up your whole fucking trailer? That didn't make no sense to me personally.
When he could have just fucking shot the guy. No, I completely agree with that.
Dude,
But it was cool.
shoot the motherfucker. There's two of you. Distract him. I get you're scared, but I mean, you're gonna blow up your only house and you blew up your gas. I mean, all right, whatever. I do agree with you though, Brian. I don't know if you mentioned it too, Dustin, but like there's a lot of damage that gets taken. And like I know I joke around about like Chad Meeks and all that surviving, but at the end, I'm just not buying Doug. Like gets his head beat on the ground. He gets hit with all those spike things, whatever those are. Like he took a lot of damage, man. I'm just not buying that he has all the strength. I mean, I know you got the adrenaline pumping. You want to save your kid, but damn, just a little too much strength for me.
He sells cell phones. He got soft hands, brother. He ain't surviving that shit.
Big facts.
But man, I won't say it's my favorite part, but this movie's unsettling, man. Like they point a gun at a baby, like they're sexual. I don't like the sexual assault stuff. Like I hate that stuff, but man, it just, that whole scene in the Airstream is so uncomfortable. It's so realistic. It's terrifying. Like this is what horror is about. But I do have qualms with it. Like I mentioned, I gave the movie an 8.5.
Okay. That gives us a composite score of an 8. IMDb has it at a 6.5. Rotten Tomatoes, 52%. They weren't a fan.
They a bunch of haters. Bunch of haters. No, and there was something I was going to agree with you on, Dustin. Another qualm that I have. Doug, like, when you get to the end of this dead-end road and you see it's a dead end, like the guy at the gas station said this takes you all the way to, San Diego? Dude, that's a huge red flag. Like, you need to turn around running back to your family saying shit's not adding up. Like, he was so casual about it, bringing back souvenirs. Like, this guy's a fucking idiot, man. They should have all got on foot and went to Big Bob at that moment. But hey, it set up a really intense scene. I like the movie. It's fun. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it as well. Let's shout out our blood donors, and Dustin, you can announce your pick. Blood donors, really appreciate y'all. Y'all take a big burn of us. I can't stress how much we appreciate y'all. Camper level reoccurring Nina, Michelle Mirza, the Horror Movie Crew podcast, Alex Seligson, Michael Evans, and Steve Schmidt. Camp Council reoccurring Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Shan, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Matt Strickland, Brooke Maley, Thorne David Phillips, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davis from Too Close to Home podcast, Dana Tucker, and Cole McAlexander. We really appreciate y'all. It does mean a lot to us that you help contribute financially. It takes a big burden off of us. Dustin, announce your pick as we close out 2000s month.
Oh, it's a doozy. So a couple of years ago, I think it's been that long, I picked this movie. And then when I started to watch it to do my notes, I pivoted. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to subject these guys to this. But back when this movie came out in 2001, I watched Ghosts of Mars a few times, like 3 or 4 times, and I liked it. You know, I'm in 8th grade at the time, 7th, 8th grade, something like that. And I liked the movie a lot. And I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. I hadn't watched it in like 20 years. And then I tried to watch it for the notes the last time. I was like, I can't do it. But I figured, let's do it. Let's power through. Let's do it. Ice Cube, Ghosts of Mars. And I'm doing the scene by scene. So I want all 3 of my co-hosts to unleash their wrath. Hopefully they enjoy it more than I think they're going to.
Yeah, we $4.27 for renting it last time and not us doing it.
I got the divot, brother. I got the divot.
Oh, damn. All right, just email or UPS it to me. Let me borrow that. I'm just kidding. Fun movie. Appreciate you guys joining us. We appreciate y'all listening. Like I said, we're doing a giveaway over on Twitter, X. Let's figure that giveaway out. Let's get that done soon. Appreciate y'all listening. Y'all have a good one. We'll be back next week.
Just want to remind everybody,